So, da sind wir zum Mädchen. Bitte aufgepasst, alle Mädchen bis 15 Jahre bei der Spieltagsführung freuen. In der Fotokontrolle erleben festhalten. Fotoshooting, Trainingskleidung, Trainingskleidung und durchtragen. Also, meldet an, seid dabei, geht auf die Fotoseite. Alle Mädchen bis 15 Jahre seid einfach dabei.
Sag jetzt fertig, ne? Sag jetzt fertig.
Mannschaften, wenn es schon ein bisschen frischer ist, es wird erst. Dann sollten wir natürlich auch ein bisschen wach werden. Und das Ganze ist auch, wenn wir auf die Tabelle schauen, wir brauchen die Punkt jetzt und das Live gewonnen. Eine Unterstützung! Und wollen dazu einen wichtigen Sieg auf den Stein.
Germany's outer Stadt, where we are kicking the Google Pixel Frauen-Bundesliga. Englische Woche into high gear. Joint record title holders Wolfsburg welcome high-flying Werder Bremen to the AOK Stadion. At stake, the chance to join Bayern München at the top of the Frauen-Bundesliga. But who can keep pace with the three-time defending champions? We started the midweek madness of Matchday 4 with 4 teams at the top of the table on 7 points. Last night, Bayern handed Freiburg their first defeat of the season in a battle of second against first to reclaim a summit they won't want to relinquish in their bid to win a 4th title. Tonight, it's 4th against 3rd, a summit of northern giants. 2 teams who changed head coaches this summer, 2 teams unbeaten so far. But while Wolfsburg's 7 points have been tinged with criticism, Bremen's are pulsating with positivity. Friederike Fritzi Kromp had big shoes to fill following Thomas Horsch's departure from the Werder hot seat on the back of a record-breaking season and an appearance in the DFB Pokal der Frauen final. But Kromp has picked up where Horsch left off, guiding Bremen to their best ever start to a Frauen-Bundesliga season. Now, their sternest test yet against a Wolfsburg side having some teething issues at the start of Stefan Lech's second stint as head coach. A somewhat calamitous 3-3 draw against Hamburg on the opening weekend was followed up with wins against Kaiserslautern and Köln, but in both games, the She-Wolves needed late goals to rescue them, leading to more questions than answers for the joint record title holders. Tonight, a point to prove on home soil. A clash of 2 of the 3 remaining unbeaten sides in the Frauen-Bundesliga this season as Wolfsburg play host to Werder Bremen. The sun still shining in the outer Stadt today for this clash of northern heavyweights. The floodlights will be on. Wolfsburg yet to land a significant strike, while Bremen so far this season, punching above their weight. For now, a look at the team news, and there's good news and bad news for Wolfsburg head coach Stefan Lech as he makes one change to the side that beat Köln on Sunday. Alexandra Popp has overcome a knock that prevented her from training at the start of the week, but Lynette Berenstein has picked up a tendon injury, ruling her out for the foreseeable future, replacing last season's joint top goal scorer. In the starting lineup is Justine Kielan, which sees Ella Pedamor's shift into a more attacking role. Our referee tonight, Anna-Lena Heidenreich, backed up by Jasmin Matashik, Irina Ver, and our fourth official, Antonia Tucholsky. As for Werder Bremen, head coach Fritzi Kromp deciding to keep faith with the winning formula from Sunday's victory over Hoffenheim, or so we thought. That was before an injury during warm-up to Verena Vida saw Sharon Beck slotted back into the first 11 in the only alteration. Maria El Sharif, the goalkeeper, yet to keep a clean sheet since joining from Carl Zeiss Jena, but she has been a standout performer, collecting her fair share of standout saves along the way, and something tells me she'll have a few more to make tonight against this star-studded Wolfsburg ensemble. Cora Takai, Alexandra Popp, chief amongst the attacking threats. But Werder Bremen have proven that this season they are going to be no pushovers. They broke a host of club records in the previous campaign. Now they're looking to build on that momentum. Stefan Lech back in the Wolfsburg hot seat for a second stint. But it's fair to say that the landscape of German women's football has changed significantly since his first stint. His counterpart there, Fritzi Kromp, one of 4 female head coaches in the Frauen-Bundesliga this season. There, a woman who has seen and experienced it all at the highest level, Alexandra Popp, in her 18th Frauen-Bundesliga season. A mouth-watering matchup of northern giants for us to enjoy in the midweek madness of Matchday 4 as Wolfsburg play host to Werder Bremen. At stake for 2 of the remaining 3 undefeated teams this season, the chance to join Bayern München at the top of the Google Pixel Frauen-Bundesliga. But who can keep pace with the 3-time defending champions? James Thorogood on the mic, and delighted to have the pleasure of your company on this Wednesday evening. We've just hit 7 o'clock local time here in the outer stadt of Wolfsburg. An early goal kick leading to earnest discussions of how to play out from the back, given the press that Werder Bremen are putting in place. Cora Takai didn't quite make the angle she needed to for the outlet there. Camilla Kuva with the misplaced pass. And now Werder Bremen look to make something of it as the shot comes in from Chiara D'Angelo. Seen well wide by Stine Hannes. Bremen with a very good shape, but it's the same variation out from the back from Wolfsburg. This time the pass infield from Camilla Kuva, but again the same result, falling foul of that Werder Bremen press. And so far, just under 2 minutes on the clock, and the confidence being shown not by the joint record title holders, but by the visitors, the underdogs, Werder Bremen. A look at recent results, and Bremen would have felt that there was vulnerability that they could probe here tonight against Wolfsburg, and given the fact that this is a team not used to necessarily having midweek matches, the decision from head coach Fritzi Krom to name an unchanged lineup would have raised a few eyebrows because of the energy output against Hoffenheim. To then match that again here against Wolfsburg on foreign soil was going to ask a lot of this Werder Bremen side. Stefan Lech made it clear that he was expecting his side to try and bite into every tackle, try and provoke mistakes. He also wanted them to try and find calm across the next 90 minutes of football. There is Friederike Kromp, known as Fritzi, more affectionately. Her first taste of a senior coaching role with Werder Bremen, and she had big shoes to fill after Thomas Horsch's departure, following a record-breaking Frauen-Bundesliga season for Werder Bremen, as they picked up the most points and the most wins that they had ever amassed in a single top-flight season. Not to mention that fairy tale run to the DFB Pokal der Frauen, where they lost 4-2 against Bayern, but certainly acquitted themselves well, had nothing to be ashamed of at the end of that particular showpiece event. It was the first time Werder Bremen had ever gotten past the quarter-finals in the competition. The semi-finals took place in front of what was a record-breaking 57,000-strong crowd at the Volkspark Stadion against their northern rivals Hamburg, who are now in the Frauen-Bundesliga, and that Nord Derby set to be played out once again in a couple of weeks' time. But then Bayern did prove a hurdle too great in the end for a side of Werder Bremen's capabilities, and as Mühlhaus setting up the first chance of the game for Lina Hausiker. Relatively comfortable save for Stina Johannes for a shot that I think was probably drifting wide anyway. Now they break the press momentarily, but Pop plays it straight to Juliana Wirtz. Janina Minga. Werder Bremen really staying touch tight to those women in green tonight. And that's a nice outlet pass to Amina Arfawi. Nice ball round the corner, and Mühlhaus on the end of the cross. Can't turn it on target. She's been in magnificent form at the start of this season. Larissa Mühlhaus made the big step up from the second tier season in her debut top-flight campaign, and having scored 20 goals to top scorer in the second tier, she then scored 10 goals in her debut Frauen-Bundesliga season. At the age of 21, that certainly was a goal-scoring return not to be taken for granted. This season, already 2 goals to her name to go, along with 4 assists as well. She's had a hand in 6 of the 7 goals that Werder Bremen have scored already this season. Medina Desic scored a hat-trick for 3 of them. And that's a poor pass out from the back. Arfawi strikes Mühlhaus now. Second chance opportunity. Can she keep it in play? She's determined to try. Thwarted by the officials. It's about a 2-hour trip from Bremen to Wolfsburg, a little south, a little east. The travelling fans making themselves heard, bouncing behind Stina Johannes' goal. So Werder playing towards their own supporters in this first half. A club and a fan base that really are growing into their own, Werder Bremen. Anyone that maybe thought that the project started by Thomas Horsch would perhaps lose a few legs after his departure can think again. He spent 9 years at the club as a whole. He is the women's team head coach, developing the team from a yo-yo club that were relegation threatened every season to a pretty stable mid-table side. An impressive development, and Fritzi Kromp is now going to look to build on that foundation. Early signs are very good. Never have they gone 3 games unbeaten at the start of a Frauen-Bundesliga season, Werder Bremen. This is their best ever start to a campaign. Now this their toughest test, but already they're taking the game to Wolfsburg and not the other way round. Hausiker. D'Angelo to Mulhouse. Medina Desic to Hausiker, and a bit of a swing and a miss, but for trying to take the shot on there, the Werder Bremen captain. Made a return from a nasty knee injury that kept her out for almost a year last season. Lina Hausiker went on to make 7 appearances in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Cora Sakai, lovely first touch, and Sakai doesn't quite connect cleanly with what is Wolfsburg's first shot of this evening encounter. Wasn't exactly the most convincing defending you've ever seen from Michelle Weiss. Werder Bremen right back, completely lost track of both her opponent and the ball. Here is Sakai again, summer signing from Freiburg. Such a technically gifted player, and now they've got runners in the middle here, Wolfsburg. Pop is arriving, it bounces through, teed off to Minge! Well, there was the vital moment in the mix there from Michelle Weiss that almost proved Wolfsburg don't pounce on the opportunity. Well played out in the end, and it's a sweet strike from Minge. Just crept wrong side of the post. Wolfsburg dealt with the opening offering from Werder Bremen. 2 chances carved out in quick succession themselves. And that's more like it from Stefan Lech's side. Fritzi Kromp will be the first to tell you that against a team of Wolfsburg's quality, can't be good for 10 minutes, you've got to be good, if not great, for 90. Kromp, whose own professional playing career was ultimately denied by what was a nasty ankle-foot injury that really wasn't properly treated, and as a result cost her a playing career, but she swiftly turned her talents to coaching, working for several years, almost 2 decades, with first the German national team women's youth sides and then the Eintracht Frankfurt women's youth sides, where she was the under-20s head coach, a role now taken over by Julia Simic, former Germany international. Kromp is now taking her talents to Bremen for what is the first senior head coaching role of her career, but one that she feels that she's ready for. And she's clearly getting the best out of many of these Werder Bremen players, and that's not to be taken for granted, given the fact that we are very early on in her tenure. And you look at the teething problems that Wolfsburg are having by comparison. And it really is a credit to Werder Bremen and their new head coach that the sailing has been so smooth and that they have made this record-breaking start to the campaign. It started with the 1-1 draw against Freiburg. Admittedly, a little lucky to take a point in that one because the penalty won by Larissa Mühlhaus probably should not have been given as a penalty. But Mühlhaus stepped up and converted. Now here's Joël Wedermeier getting the shot off deflection on it, off the foot of Michelle Ulbrich. Maria El Sharif momentarily panicked, but sees it go behind for a corner. Wolfsburg now growing into this game as we approach the quarter-hour mark after what was a slow start from them. Or perhaps we should call it a calculated one. Now the bells, the keys, the whistles, they all ring out when the corners are taken in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Janu Levels with the corner. Chance to recycle possession now for the home side. Wedermeier back out to Korat Sakai. One-on-one with Larissa Mühlhaus. Little 1-2, looking to find a bit more space in behind, but Lina Hauseker read the situation well. Ulbrich getting physical with Alexandra Popp, which you have to do, but she is very savvy when it comes to drawing contact, winning fouls. And this is a promising position for a free kick for Wolfsburg. Svenja Hoop leads it for Levels. Headed clear by Ulbrich. Lofted back in, and this is dangerous. Dijkstra's there, but Ulbrich again. Haven't quite cleared the danger yet, Werder Bremen. A harmless cross from Alexandra Popp, letting them off the hook there. Now it's Wolfsburg's turn to try and press high, try and force the mistake, which they do. Can they capitalize? Pop the intended target. Instead it's Minger! Straight at El Sharif. Well, she's certainly been one of the busier goalkeepers in Germany's top flight, Maria El Sharif, since joining from Kaisers Jena in the summer. She kept 3 clean sheets in 12 appearances, which for a side that were battling relegation, certainly not a bad record. For Werder Bremen, they lost Livia Peng, their undisputed #1, and what a season she had. Sensational shot stopper. She has taken her talents to London to join Chelsea. As a result, Werder Bremen had to dip into the goalkeeping market. Brought in Vanessa Fischer from Turbine Potsdam, who were relegated, and they brought in Mariella El Sharif, the Austrian international from Jena. And while she is still searching for her first clean sheet in the green of Werder Bremen, it's fair to say she has produced some standout moments, and she was named the player of the match after the 2-1 win against Hoffenheim last weekend. Larissa Mühlhaus opened the scoring with a penalty inside 3 minutes after a clumsy challenge in the box. Pegged back by Selina Cerci, the league top goal scorer, and then there was a 90th minute winner for Imoka Papai. Wonderful moment for her. Battled her way through a couple of challenges. Now Pennemore's doing the same here for Wolfsburg, but loses out against Larissa Mühlhaus. Certainly doesn't shy away from getting involved in the defensive duties. Felt she was tripped there, but the referee, Anna-Lena Heinreich, did not agree. Takai didn't quite wrap the foot around that one the way she needed to. She loves cutting in on that right footer first from the left wing. It was certainly an avenue to goal that she resorted to many a time over the years. Scored some impressive goals from those types of positions, but on that occasion, just snatched at the effort. Of course, we kicked off the Englische Woche, the English week, as they like to call it here in Germany, a term that used to be rather ironic mocking of the fact that the English football schedule was a lot more tightly packed and as a result needed midweek matches. And now actually midweek matches are a common feature in German football, especially in the men's game. But now expanding 14 teams in Germany's top flight. That was a tough challenge. Whose shin pads went flying there? Were those both Larissa Mühlhaus's shin pads? I mean, talk about knocking the socks off your opponent. This is one of 2 rounds of midweek fixtures that we will be treated to in the 25-26 season. Got things underway yesterday. Bayern 4-0 winners in the top of the table clash with Freiburg on home soil, bouncing back from that disappointing draw with Jena. Now Cora Takai to the byline. Takai, oh, picks out the teammate. The perfect woman she wanted on the end of the delivery. But an uncharacteristic miss from Alexandra Popp. Didn't need to put a lot of pace on the header there, Popp. Just got the angle on the aerial effort wrong. And now a couple of chances for Wolfsburg where they've been profligate. Those are types of not afford. Cheap concessions of possession. And now Takai. And Wedemeyer on the follow-up. Sends foot wide. But Wolfsburg has started to bear their the She-Wolves. Let's go Werder. Fight and win again. The visiting fans making themselves heard as we get the Wolfsburg free kick headed clear by Medina Desic. Loses out in that 50-50 to Justin Kielan. Dijkstra. 1-2 doesn't quite work out in those wide areas for Wolfsburg. Well, the sun has now set in the north of Germany, but we were being treated to the last vestiges of summer here today, while the cold snap and the miserable autumn weather has hit elsewhere in the country. There are still a few beams to take in the Autostadt. I don't think you need to try and translate what Alex Popp is trying to say to Anna-Lena Heinreich, our referee. The point being made clearly, She'll look to get on the end of this cross, though. Instead, it comes to Takai, and Weiss right place to make the block. Seems to have hurt herself as Takai curls for the far corner. Takai wasn't about to show any mercy. Tried to pick her spot, and she wasn't far away from doing so. Not really sure how Michelle Weiss injured herself in the mix there. She seems to be all right, though. Not having a fun time of it, though, against Cora Takai early doors. The Werder Bremen right back, and Wolfsburg would be wise to continue testing that weakness. And Cora Takai is such a phenomenal player in one-on-one situations as well. Happy to take her opponents on in one-on-one situations and try and beat them for pace or trickery. That's another ball out from the back for Werder Bremen that goes straight to a Wolfsburg player. And another pass that goes straight out to Pedamors. Takai. Wolfsburg picking their passes now. Space for Weidermeier. Forced to the byline, but plenty of teammates to pick out with the cross. Pops underneath it. Heads down to no one. I was talking about the 1-1 draw that was maybe a bit fortuitous for Werder Bremen on the opening weekend against Freiburg. There was nothing fortuitous about the 4-1 win against Nuremberg on Matchday 2. And then maybe, as Fritzi Kropp herself admitted, they really had a lucky punch to thank against Hoffenheim on the weekend. But Hoffenheim, given the way they had started the season, Selina Cerci scoring goals for fun, building off of a very impressive win against Eintracht Frankfurt, and then Werder Bremen handing them a first defeat of the season to underline their positive start to the new campaign. But right now they had the best of the opening 5 minutes. Since then it's been all Wolfsburg. In the air by Larissa Mühlhaus. Looked like a hefty collision with, I believe it was Janina Minga. Picked herself up now. Levels just ran herself into trouble there. Mühlhaus. A bit like Cora Takai for a woman of her height. You wouldn't expect her to be as tricky with her feet as she is, but I tell you what, Larissa Mühlhaus, just like Takai, very technically gifted in tight spaces. So much to like about Mühlhaus's game as well. It's not to be taken for granted the way she made the step up from the second tier to the Frauen-Bundesliga, then scoring 10 goals in her debut season, 2 already in the current campaign, so maybe she can beat her top-tier personal best at the first time of asking. Her goals and her partnership with Sophie Weidauer was certainly a key part in Bremen having that record-breaking season. Weidauer left to join Union Berlin, and they brought in Medina Desic, a more experienced striker from Nuremberg. It's fair to say already Desic and Mühlhaus have a wonderful understanding. Desic will play as the lone striker. Mühlhaus will operate as the number 10 in behind her, but doesn't shy away from getting beyond Desic either. Big source of positivity for Werder Bremen. But tonight we're seeing a lot of Mühlhaus, we're not seeing any of Desic, and Sharon Beck, who was a late replacement in the starting lineup for the injured Verena Vida, has been anonymous. There is Beck with a touch, maybe I spoke too soon, but a touch at the wrong end of the pitch. Putting it behind for a corner, more defending to do for the women in white. Cracking atmosphere tonight as well at the AOK Stadion, has to be said. No goals for either set of fans to cheer. Just under 3,000 in attendance from what we're hearing, as Janu Levels will whip this corner in. Flicked on at the near post, it's dangerous! It's looping and it's wide. Well, Mariella El Sharif was getting nowhere near this one. Fortunately for Werder Bremen, the angle on the second touch, which I believe was off of Juliana Wirtz, ultimately just wide of the post. Svenja Hoot to take this in-swinger. Another great delivery, and it was just over the head of Camilla Kuva, who was the late goal heroine for Wolfsburg against Köln last time out. Carlotta Impik scored one of the goals of the weekend to open the scoring in that game. Linnet Berenstein then capitalised on a bit of a mix-up at the back for Köln before half-time. It wasn't until the 96th minute when Camilla Kuva glanced on a Janu Levels corner to score her first ever goal as a Wolfsburg player. And after all the hardships she had had with injury, it was a lovely moment for the young 22-year-old. But a moment that spared Wolfsburg's blushes. They don't want to wait until the 96th minute to do that here tonight. If anything, they want to show a bit of a signal of intent. After this rocky start, they want to show off their class, and now they're starting to. Pedamors! Wolfsburg have the lead they've been pushing for. And it's Ella Pedamors who gets her first of the season, playing in the more advanced role tonight. And while they're patient Wolfsburg, they have slowly been breaking Bremen down. And Pedamors, a lovely little bit of skill, the juke at the shoulder, just to move the ball away from Michelle Ulbricht before tucking it into the bottom. Brilliant finish from the woman signed from Twente Enschede. Joined the club halfway through last season. Was actually meant to join them in the summer, but it was decided that she was going to get more game time with Twente Enschede. Then Wolfsburg realised that they needed a few more reinforcements in midfield, so moved the deal up until January. Scored one goal in 10 Frauen-Bundesliga appearances last season, Ella Pedamors, against Leipzig in a 2-0 win, and now she has made it 1-0 to Wolfsburg here on home soil against Werder Bremen. Travelling fans still making themselves heard. They'll have been well aware that this is going to be the biggest test of the season so far for their side. The home game against Hoffenheim was certainly a good warm-up act in that regard in terms of playing a team close to Wolfsburg's level. But this is arguably one of the toughest two games of the season for teams like Werder Bremen. The other being, of course, the trip that you have to make to Munich to take on the three-time defending champions Bayern, which incidentally is the next game that Werder Bremen have after this one. So back-to-back away games against the toughest two teams in the league, sandwiched either side of a DFB Pokal der Frauen first-round tie against Victoria Hamburg. A game that Werder Bremen will expect to win. want to prove that their fairy tale run to the final last season wasn't just a flash in the pan. What they need to do right now, Werder Bremen, is get a foothold back in this game, because they are allowing, and this is what Wolfsburg head coach Stefan Lecht called for from his side, was for them to impose their will, stamp their authority on the game. And they're doing that right now. Takai has so much space to work with here. Can pick her cross. To the back post it goes. All the way through to Svenja Hoot, and flashed across the face of goal. There was a touch on the ball from a Bremen player, so it's a Wolfsburg corner. Svenja Hoot, the record appearance maker in Germany's top flight, tonight making her 323rd Frauen-Bundesliga appearance. Hoot's corner. Sharif punches only as far as Kieland on the edge of the area. Too many bodies between ball and goal on that occasion. But Wolfsburg certainly not taking their foot off the pedal, having fashioned the lead. Sakai losing out there against Michelle Weiss. Look at the match statistics so far, and the scoreline a fair reflection of what we've seen. Bremen really did start this game strong. The first 5 minutes, maybe even 10, belonged to them. However, Wolfsburg responded in kind and are certainly very good value for their lead. Consider that the last shot that Bremen produced of the 5 they've had so far tonight came in the 9th minute of this game. Shows you the way in which the momentum has swung back in favour of the home side, who are now looking to turn the screw, and that's a great ball to Weidemeyer, who stings the palms of El Sharif from a tight angle. Didn't have a lot else on, truth be told. He's had every right to go for goal. Then Desic seems to get caught there in the challenge, and El Sharif might have been hurt in the mix as well. So far a bruising experience at the AOK Stadion for Werder Bremen. This is the goal that got the better of El Sharif, just trickling past her into the far corner. She was anticipating a shot at the near post, still waiting for her first clean sheet as a Werder Bremen goalkeeper, signed to replace Livia Peng, who moved to Chelsea. Peng, certainly one of the best goalkeepers in the Frauen-Bundesliga last season. So not easy to make for El Sharif from Karl Zeiss Jena. This was a good save. Difficult to tell where she might have hurt herself in the mix there, but these muscular injuries can pop out of nowhere. Did miss portions of last season through injury with Karl Zeiss Jena as well. She was once named the goalkeeper of the season in the Austrian top flight before joining Jena from Sturm Graz. And you can see there the backup goalkeeper Vanessa Fischer warming up in case she needs to come on for what would be her Werder Bremen debut. This was the clash with Desic involving the goal scorer Ella Pedamors. Desic has brushed herself off, and El Sharif does the same. A moment just to break the rhythm of proceedings here. at the AOK Stadion. Teasing ball forward, and the angle was enough to beat Camilla Kuva, but there was no one making the run in behind. Stina Johannes, how she would love what would be her first clean sheet as a Wolfsburg player since joining from Frankfurt. And the goalkeeper department was just one of many in which there was a real changing of the guard, let's say, with Wolfsburg. They got rid of all three of their goalkeepers. Brought in Stina Johannes from Eintracht Frankfurt, brought in Martina Tefekovic from Hoffenheim. Let go of Merle Froms, Lisa Schmitz and Annalena Borber. Then you look at the back line. They let 3 of the first choice 4 leave the club. Marina Hegering, Katrin Hendrich, Lynn Wilms. And they managed to hold on to irreplaceable, experienced figures like Svenja Hoot, Alexandra Popp. Brought in the likes of Cora Takai and Janu Levels to freshen things up and ultimately respond to criticism of what was an aging squad. And as a result, given the number of changes, not to mention the head coach Stefan Lech coming in, a few teething problems were to be expected. But Wolfsburg want to send a message here tonight, because while they didn't look convincing against Kaisers Jena or Köln, they are still keeping pace with Bayern München right now. Victory would move them level on 10 points with the reigning title holders. It was always going to be difficult to have such smooth sailing after the Tommy Stroh era, especially given the fact that the end of his tenure really was turbulent. Not helped by the fact that Bayern had come on so strong and ultimately knocked Wolfsburg off their perch as the #1 team in German women's football. And right now, you've got to say, given the changes they've had again this summer, you don't think they could really reclaim that status in the current campaign. Again, it's going to be a season of transition, but they've been saying that for about 3, 4, 5 seasons now, Wolfsburg, and finally, Sakai, what a ball that was. Killer pass. Sakai not to go for the first-time effort, despite the proximity to goal. To be honest, I'd love to know who played that pass. I think it was Joel Wedemeyer, but that's one of the passes, if not the pass of the game so far. Just forced Sakai a fraction wide. Mühlhaus running into trouble, and now Sakai. Shot blocked, bounces clear, and no one wanted to take the responsibility in the end. Hannah Nemeth does. Juliana Wirtz then with the clearance, but put back towards the Werder Bremen goal by Dijkstra. Handball there, giving Wolfsburg a free kick. Just under 5 minutes remaining in this first half. She has been all season since joining from Freiburg a bright spark for the She-Wolves. She opened her account in the 3-1 win against Kaisers Jena, but would love another goal here on home soil tonight as Labels with the free kick. It's all the way through. No threat posed. Well dealt with there by Mariella El Sharif and her backline. just breaks down out wide, but Wolfsburg quickly win the ball back. They've done that well tonight. Since the positive opening from Werder Bremen, ball recovery time has been kept quite short. Now they look to threaten with Sakai again, combining with Labels. Arfawi for company, goes back to Sakai. Alex Pop goes down in the box there, but I don't think it's ever going to be enough for a penalty, even if there was contact here with Hannah Nemeth. Might have just got a chop across the throat, sent her to ground, Alex Pop. Or a knock to the jaw. Yeah, indeed. I mean, there is a swinging arm there from Nemeth. Nothing on it. Can understand why Pop went to ground, but I don't think Annalena Heidenreich was ever going to point to the spot in that situation. Again, Bremen play themselves into trouble trying to play out from the back. Now Weidemeyer to Labels, the two fullbacks combining in the final third for Wolfsburg. That tells you about the pressure mounting as Pop has her pocket picked, and then Kuva anywhere at her taken there by the scorer of a 96th minute winner for Wolfsburg against Köln on the weekend. What a time to get her first ever goal for the She-Wolves. Now it's Wolfsburg's turn to play their way out from the back, but look at that. 2 or 3 passes strung together to break them all down. And if Pop's heel doesn't catch that pass to Sakai, then they really would have been in full flow there. Stefan Lech really enjoying what he's seeing now from his charges, and you can understand why, because now you're starting to see his approach, his game plan take shape. And that's been one of the main criticisms of the performances from Wolfsburg at the start of this season, the start of his second stint in charge, is that there hasn't really been a clear identity or game plan that you can point to. It's been more about, let's see if we can cross the ball into the box and hope Pop gets on the end of it. Let's give it to Sakai, see what she can do one-on-one. Tonight, there's been a real collective, cohesive performance, with the exception of the first 10 minutes where Bremen were the better team. But if anything, Wolfsburg, I think, were being quite calculated in their approach of trying to assess exactly what Werder Bremen were going to throw at them tonight. And since that analytical period, they've really come on strong, and Fritzi Kromp's side have not responded in upping the ante themselves, because Wolfsburg's quality starting to rise above, and they've got the goal through Ella Pedermors. Just rewards for their first half performance. Sakai with the nutmeg on Michelle Weiss. Saw her opponent's legs open and accepted the invite. Paul from Mühlhaus, an apologetic hand raised, but again, that doesn't help the Werder Bremen cause. They're going to have to improve in the second half. If they can produce a performance more befitting of what they produced in the first 10 minutes of this game compared to the next 35, then we might have game on here at the AOK Stadion. If not, then Wolfsburg might have a pretty comfortable ride to 3. Well, in a battle of two unbeaten sides this season, two teams that started the match day on 7 points. Tonight, the chance to move level with Bayern at the top of the table. And it's Wolfsburg, courtesy of Ella Pennemore's goal, who lead at the break. But it's a narrow lead, and Werder Bremen will fancy their chances of battling back in the second half. At the half-time break, it is Wolfsburg 1, Werder Bremen 0.
Dann siehst du unsere kleine Zugrufe und hier Verbindung voraus und kannst dir die Räumlichkeiten anschauen. Ein Fenster von heute auf Oberkante sich gewünscht, aber ihr könnt auch noch die Donnerstag am Spieltag, da habt ihr den Code davor einfach rauskennen, aber und seid dann hier das nächste Mal dabei.
back, one and all, to the AOK Stadion in the Autostadt of Wolfsburg, where we are enjoying a bit of a Wednesday night action in the Bundesliga. This is day 6 of 7 days straight, boasting Frauen-Bundesliga fixtures. A feast of football that produced its fair share of wonderful results, and right now this game has to be said shaping up quite nicely because it's still open. Wolfsburg, the favourites, the joint record title holders in the Frauen-Bundesliga era, lead by a goal to nil thanks to that woman on the right of your screen, Ella Pedermoor's tidy little finish into the bottom corner that broke the deadlock on the half-hour mark. And it was just reward for Wolfsburg, who were the better team. Half wore on, but Bremen started brightly. And if they can dip back into the performance levels they produced in the first 10 minutes, then maybe, just maybe, they can find a way to get a goal back and spark a little life left in this Wednesday evening tie. The floodlights are on, the sun has set, but we have got 45 minutes of what we think will be pulsating action remaining, and it starts with an effort from the kickoff. I mean, if that doesn't help us set the bar for what's to come in the next 45 minutes, I don't know what will. Pop decided to have a pick of the. She had 2-headed efforts that she failed to convert in the first half, and by her stats, she felt that she should have at least converted one. Werder Bremen struggled to muster up much threats. It's the end of the half, but they've got talent in their ranks that can do damage to this Wolfsburg team. It's a meeting of two unbeaten sides still this season. We saw two unbeaten teams go head-to-head yesterday when Bayern beat Freiburg 4-0. Will we see another unbeaten record fall prey to the Frauen-Bundesliga, where no one boasts a Köln were the only side yet to pick up a point in the current campaign, coming in to this midweek set of fixtures on Matchday 4. Tonight's tie between Wolfsburg and Werder Bremen is part of a Wednesday night triple header in Germany's top flight. And while Wolfsburg lead by a goal to nil here, there are no goals between Hoffenheim and Nuremberg so far. Meanwhile, Köln, who I just mentioned as the only team yet to pick up a point this season, currently leading by 2-1 against Essen on foreign soil. So maybe that changes tonight for the Cathedral City side. What it underlines is just how competitive the Frauen-Bundesliga 14-team era is shaping up to be in its first campaign. A bit of an elbow there to the Medina Desic. Nothing untoward from our goal scorer Ella Pedermoor's, all part of a game of football. It is a physical sport after all. James Thorogood, your match commentator, and delighted to have the pleasure of your company for this second half. Wondering whether Werder Bremen can muster up a bit more attacking threats. Wondering whether Wolfsburg can actually produce one of their most, if not most, convincing performances of the season so far, because they really failed to convince in that 3-3 draw against Hamburg on the opening day, throwing away a 3-1 lead. And while Wolfsburg felt that the equaliser was controversial, after the match did suggest that the free kick from Svea Stolt had indeed bounced all the way through and crossed the line fully, despite Stine Johannes' best attempts. Johannes said after that game that she felt that instance was argument enough for the introduction of goal line technology in the women's top tier here in Germany, because she felt it would have been conclusive in bailing her out of that red-faced moment with what was virtually the last kick of that game. However, as mentioned, there is footage that has since come to light that suggests that the whole ball did cross the line and that it would not have bailed her out the way she anticipated. Oh, what a touch that is from Larissa Mühlhaus to Sharon Beck. And Beck's cross is disappointing. No pace. No precision. Stina Johannes, Nina Minge down on the pitch, but she the early release to Cora Takai, who then loses out against Michelle Weiss. And Werder Bremen don't need to put the ball out of play if Janina Minge is still down, because Wolfsburg didn't do it themselves, but Minge is back up to her feet. Ball forward, Desic underneath it. It comes through to Mühlhaus, entered the area, looking to flick it through. It was the right idea, but Desic wasn't quite ready for it. And the pass wasn't quite good enough, even if she had been. D'Angelo taken out by Kielan. The young Norwegian midfielder, the only change in the Wolfsburg lineup tonight compared to the side that started that 2-1 win against Köln. Linnet Berenstein has picked up a tendon injury and is going to be out for the foreseeable future. Joint top goal scorer last season, Linnet Berenstein in the Frauen-Bundesliga with 16 goals, along with Hoffenheim's Selina Cerci, but Berenstein is off the mark. Cerci, though, has really picked up where she left off, topping the goal-scoring charts already, as Beck now digs out the cross, and Kuva. Cool piece of defending. Not the best piece of build-up play to follow. Appeals for a handball. D'Angelo trying to turn the corner down on the byline, and thought she'd actually done well there to almost force Hoot into taking an extra touch out of play for the throw, but not the way it played out. And Minge's pass to no one as Ulbrich now looking to pierce the lines, and Desic again felt the pressure of Kuva behind her, felt she needed to play the ball first time, and someone like Larissa Mühlhaus has to be making the run beyond her for that. It's all about timing, when to gamble. Here's Pedamors to Sakai. Sakai with Weiss. She's had the beating of Weiss in the one-on-one and had it again there. Oh, then Weiss with the mistake. Levels is in. Deflection, and Wolfsburg double their lead. Oh, it's a little bit cruel on Werder Bremen. But Wolfsburg producing their most convincing performance of the season so far, on a night where they want to keep pace with Bayern at the top of the table. They now lead by 2-0 on home soil. Sakai was the spark, but Weiss ultimately at fault. D'Angelo will be credited with the own goal, but it was her fellow fullback Michelle Weiss that really proved the problem there for Werder Bremen. She hasn't had a good night at the office against Cora Takai. And you got a feel for D'Angelo there, because it looked like the shot was going wide. Instead, Wolfsburg have an early second in the second half. Levels is being credited with the goal. I'm not sure how or why. Because again, it would require her effort being on target, and I'm not sure it was. D'Angelo's touch was so decisive as well. But now Wolfsburg have the momentum, the impetus in this game, and they won't want to stop at 2. Sakai and Levels. Levels' cross almost bounced through to Svenja Hoot. 2 for company. Goes back to Wedemeyer. Now with Kielan. Levels with the chance to cross again. Wedemeyer is there! Glances wide. Lovely ball in from young Levels. And that left flank for Wolfsburg might be new look, with Labels joining from Bayer Leverkusen, Sakai coming in from Freiburg. But you wouldn't know it because they clearly have a very strong understanding already, the two new recruits for Wolfsburg. Well played by Wolfsburg and Weidemeyer there, just to release the pressure. Unfortunately, that pass straight to Wirtz. Not the hope that Fritzi Kromp would have had at the start of this second half. Would have wanted to see her side respond. But again, given the almighty output, I'm not trying to make excuses for them, because this is the highest professional level of women's football. And these are peak athletes in peak condition. And for some in their peak years as well. But given how much Werder Bremen invested in that 2-1 win against Hoffenheim, the standards they had to set, the level they had to play at for the full 90, it was always going to be difficult for them to maintain those standards and that level for another 90 just a few days afterwards against a team of Wolfsburg's quality. They would have struggled against any other team in the Frauen-Bundesliga as well, but Wolfsburg are the type of team that will be merciless. They will put you to the sword if you give them an inch, and Werder Bremen have given them more than an inch here tonight. Certainly doesn't take the gloss off the start of the season for Werder Bremen, because 2 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss from the first 4 is still a very positive record for a team of Werder Bremen's ambitions and capabilities. Lest we forget, last year they set the club record for most points amassed, and they got 29 points. They're already on 7 this season. Let's pretend even if we hadn't had an expansion to 14 teams in Germany's top flight, and we still only had 22 match days, they would have been well on course to break their club record after 4 games. As her toes stepped on there by Sakai. Lovely gold numbers, those boots. Of the Austrian international, 1 cap to her name internationally. She does have Egyptian roots. Mariella El Sharif said that her first thought was always football. Said that it was her mum that actually had to force her to eat food. Otherwise, she'd have been out on the streets playing the beautiful game until the sun set. Never nice to have your toes stepped on either, especially with a pair of boots that have studs on the bottom of them. Desic, cheeky little back heel, didn't find its mark. Not that a lot has for Werder Bremen in the final third since about the 10th minute. Or the 9th, I should say, when they had their last shot of this game, courtesy of Lina Hausiker, the captain. Since then, Wolfsburg have kept them at arm's length, and all the threat generated has come from the women in green, but maybe now a chance. Wirtz lofting one in, attacked by Hausiker, and she heads wide, but that is Bremen's first shot on goal in almost 50 minutes of play. Doesn't matter who you're playing in Germany's top flight, going without a shot for 50 minutes in the game just isn't good enough. And this is, in some ways, taking on a similar constellation in terms of the context of this game that we saw last night between Bayern and Freiburg. Bayern have not been at their scintillating best at the start of this season under their new head coach, Jose Bach. They were disappointed and frustrated in that 0-0 draw with Kaisers Jena on home soil, but they responded in kind against Freiburg last night. And the thing is, it was a battle of first against second. Freiburg were table toppers coming into that game, but they were put firmly in their place by a dominant Bayern performance. And unlike against Jena, Bayern then found the finishing touches in front of goal to win 4-0. Wolfsburg, though, haven't been convincing at the start of this season, yet we're seeing their most convincing performance, and Bremen, who were level on 7 points with them, just aren't showing up. Or at least not the way we hoped they would for a very competitive clash of top 4 incumbents. But right now, Wolfsburg are playing like a top 4 team, and Werder Bremen are playing like a mid-table team. And bit of a reality check as Mulhouse digs out the cross. It's awkward, and Johannes didn't come. Dijkstra didn't know what to do. Sharon Beck picks up the pieces. Takai for company. Fawi and Beck. Beck, long goes the cross. It's a good one as well. And Medina Desic tried to make something of it. Unsuccessful in her attempts. Scored that hat-trick in the 4-1 win against Nuremberg, the club she left in the summer. Oh, Stine Johannes. Oh, a real let-off for the Wolfsburg goalkeeper there. That was an awful pass that almost played her side into real trouble. Now they've broken down the other end with Labels, looking for Pedamors. It's a nice idea with the little Travella pass, but just overcooked it. Now she was a player that Wolfsburg were really desperate to bring in from Leverkusen. Not hard to see why. Left back, Janu Levels. And that's both in a defence where she deals with danger proficiently, but also the way she gets forward, loves to maraud left wing as well. Deliveries from dead balls. Talked about Wolfsburg having a long history, big ambitions. She was ready to play her part in shaping modern times. Poor from D'Angelo. And that has happened too often tonight from Werder Bremen's perspective, where Wolfsburg have been good, but Bremen certainly have not been at their best, and they've done themselves a disservice with some of their poor passing this evening. Just over an hour played, and Wolfsburg certainly good value for their 2-0 lead. Make no mistake, this isn't their best ever performance, but compared to the first 3 we've seen from them this season against Hamburg, Karlsruhe, Siena and Köln, 3 teams that will likely be in the relegation battle, this is a step up from Wolfsburg tonight against Werder Bremen, who are opposition of a slightly different calibre to the 3 teams just mentioned. Wolfsburg would have expected to win their first 3 quite comfortably against those sides, given the fact that they would have been clear favourites against all of them. They were 3-1 up against Hamburg, got pegged back at 3-3, even if there was somewhat controversy about the final goal. It did stand and has been cleared up since. Historic result for Hamburg upon their return to the Frauen-Bundesliga after a 13-year absence. Then they needed 2 late goals against Karlsruhe to win 3-1, and they needed Camilla Kuba to score in the 96th on the weekend. But now here come Bremen with Mulhouse looking for Arfawi and the extra pass, but Labels stood her ground well, and now Janu Labels can drive forward. Having done the defending, can she the Dutch woman? She'll keep her run going. Takai takes charge of the move. Vaissaw is herring back, and that is really wasteful from Cora Takai. She has but those are the moments where you can tell that Cora Takai still has a long way at 20 years to reaching the highest level and reaching ultimately the peak of her potential, because it's clear to see, it's absolutely undeniable. She is one of the most exciting year-old prospects that German women's offer. She's already broken into the national team, and deservedly so. She's already made an impact at the international level. You look at her record of 2 goals in 4 games for the German national team. But decision-making, final passes, end product. Koret Sakai is still a work in progress, but a wonderfully talented work in progress. But that might be why she's brought off here, because it hasn't really been her night in the final third. She is replaced by Kessia Bussy, the Frenchwoman signed from Paris FC. Maya Sternad, meanwhile, coming on for Amira Arfawi. What can the fresh legs bring to this game? Credit to the character being shown here by Werder Bremen, because they've gone 2-0 down. Other teams would let their heads drop and collapse a little bit as Bussy picks up a yellow card for literally her first involvement of the game off the bench, which I'm sure is why she's asking a question of our referee, Annalena Heidenreich, as to whether she really deserved that. I mean, used her pace to get back, but there's an almighty tug. But then look at the way Sternad had a good chunk of her kit as well. I think a yellow card is harsh. I think a foul is the right decision, but welcome to the game, Kessia Bussy. But the point I was going to make is that other teams would have really collapsed now, or not really mustered up much fight back, knowing that the odds of them getting anything from this game were slim to none against Wolfsburg here in the Autostadt. But Werder Bremen will not give up. Mühlhaus's free kick. Minga felt she had to act, and probably did, with Desic lurking. Desic now wants to take the throw in quickly, but thinks better of it, because her service is better serving for Werder Bremen in the centre. D'Angelo can try and launch long. Desic wants it. Back to D'Angelo. Pumped into the penalty area, but aimlessly. Werder Bremen have faced a little bit of adversity already this season, given the way some of their games have played out. They came from behind against Freiburg on the opening weekend to draw 1-1. As now Sternad is penalised. But this is now their toughest test, and a further test of this team under new head coach Friederike Fritzi Kromp will be, how do they respond to their first defeat? Will it lead to another, or do they bounce back with a positive result at the first time of asking? Easier said than done when you consider that Werder Bremen's next game is a trip to Munich to take on Bayern. There's cup action before then. Wolfsburg involved against ATS Buntentor on the weekends. Werder Bremen taking on Victoria Hamburg. For that trip to Munich, and then after Matchday 5, it is Wolfsburg against Bayern, Matchday 6 here in the Autostadt. One of the highlight acts of every Frauen-Bundesliga season, a meeting of the top 2 German women's football has to offer. And yes, Wolfsburg have been usurped as the #1, but make no mistake, they are definitely the #2 team. Although, I say that, maybe I shouldn't be as definite, because it's a status that could be under threat this season if Eintracht Frankfurt can get their act together. That being said, they have already suffered defeat, Eintracht Frankfurt, in the current campaign against Hoffenheim, and then really got put in their place by Real Madrid in the Champions League qualifiers, unfortunately missing out on a berth into the league phase. Wolfsburg and Bayern will be representing the Frauen-Bundesliga in that regard. Looked like a handball there against Pedamore, it's not given, but the foul on her is. The draw for the Women's Champions League phase was made this week, and based on Opta rankings, fun fact for you, Bayern and Wolfsburg both got the toughest possible draws. 6 fixtures against 6 different teams as part of the inaugural league phase. Wolfsburg up against Paris Saint-Germain, Vålerenga, OL Lyonnais, Manchester United, Real Madrid and Chelsea. Free kick floated in. First to the loose ball is Kylian. Not the most convincing of strikes, but she retains possession well, takes the shoe of Sternad off her feet. And it breaks now for Bussy. Snapshot blocked by Nemeth, and El Sharif quickly to the loose ball. But just to go through those opponents again for Wolfsburg in the Women's Champions League. Paris Saint-Germain, the French giants. OL Lyonnais, the record title holders. Manchester United, who are really coming on strong in the new season from the Women's Super League. Real Madrid, who were the team that knocked Eintracht Frankfurt out in quite convincing fashion, given the quality and strength and depth they had on display. Chelsea, a side that have been winning titles for fun in recent years. And then, of course, not to do them any disservice, but Vålerenga as well. They are not to be taken lightly, the side from Norway. Ulbrich tried to protest her innocence, but those protests fell on the deaf ears of Annalena Heinreich. Now a chance for Hoot to drive it into the box, but Beck with her head to the ball. Weidemeyer lost it in, and it dropped on a dime, but no one had quite made the run. There was an interesting quote from Fritzi Kromp, the Werder Bremen head coach, who said that she would figure out where this journey might lead after match day 5. She said that she was expecting a process that would have its ups and downs. But if they go unbeaten in their first 3 for the first time ever in a Frauen-Bundesliga season and then lose back-to-back away games against Wolfsburg and Bayern, there will be nothing to be ashamed of from Werder Bremen's perspective. And they'll also have the benefit of being able to look at their fixture list and go, oh, we've got the 2 toughest games of the entire campaign out the way. It's a nice turn from Bussy. A nice pass to Svenja Hoot. Couple of green shirts in the middle to aim for Svenja Hoot's cross. Has the pace and the height taken off it. Now going to get another Wolfsburg change. Smila Volato coming on for Justine Kylian. She was the only change in the starting lineup tonight. The Norwegian, like for like change. As Valoto comes on. Talked about relishing the competition for game time and starting berths with Wolfsburg, signed from Hammarby in the summer. 61 appearances, 10 goals for the Swedish side. Bit of a linguistic expert as well, the 21-year-old Swiss international. Valoto speaks 5 languages. Now the chance for Maya Sternad, and for Werder Bremen, and it's... Wow! Valoto, who with her first piece of action off the bench, with a vital challenge at the last, to deny Maya Sternad what would have been one of the best chances of the game that Werder Bremen had fashioned. If anything, a little too complacent, a little too lax in getting the shot off there. No urgency shown when it was really needed. because, don't get me wrong, Wolfsburg have been dominant. They're very good value for their 2-0 lead. But if Bremen get a goal back in the next couple of minutes, then all of a sudden this game really does come to life again. But that's probably why Fritzi Kromp is calling upon so many fresh legs now and making so many changes, because in only being forced into one change from the win against Hoffenheim on Sunday, Werder will be some tired legs in the ranks. She scored the 90th minute winner in that game. Won't have the opportunity to repeat the feat as things stand here, unless we see a remarkable turnaround from the visitors in tricky circumstances as here on home soil. Wolfsburg 10 wins, 1 draw last season, 40 goals scored, just 9 conceded. They are unbeaten in the last 13 here in the Autostadt, dating back to that 4-0 loss against Bayern in March of 2024. 12 wins, 1 draw since. Right now, 15 minutes removed from their 3rd win of the season, but their first clean sheet of the campaign. Level's free kick is flicked on by Mühlhaus. Bussy battling away. There she is on the yellow card, so she's got to be careful here against Valkling. Oh, she's won it well though, Bussy. Well, still Valkling battling away and does end up really buying the foul there, Ricarda Valkling. Ended up just throwing herself to ground when she had kind of realised that she was about to concede possession. This was great from Bussy because Valkling just took her eye off the ball for a second. And there, I mean, is that really a foul? So I think that's good pressure by the French. Ganz klar unser. Very clearly ours, says Fritzi Kromp. But the throw-in goes Wolfsburg's way. It's a learning for Fritzi Kromp, and a valuable one. Don't get me wrong, she'd have preferred to learn the lessons without losing. But sometimes you can learn a lot more from defeat than you can from victory. He landed the lucky punch against Hoffenheim. She said it spoke to the mentality of her team that they weren't happy with just a point. And you can say that tonight has been a testament to that mentality as well, because at 2-0 down, they have never given up the ghost here. And even now, if they get a goal in the next 3 minutes, 10 minutes to play, plus injury time, straight but into flight. Just ask Wolfsburg. Opening day of this season, they were 3-1 up against Ham, promoted side, and ended up drawing 3-3. You go back to last season, Matchday 1, the meeting between Wolfsburg and Werder Bremen here at the AOK Stadion. And on that occasion, it was Wolfsburg who were the beneficiaries of controversial circumstances. Because in that game, Werder Bremen had been magnificent. Zarai Linde opened the scoring. But then goals from Tuana Mahmoud and Larissa Mühlhaus swung the tie in their favour. Lena Latvine then scored just past the hour mark before a own goal from Merle Forms after a mix-up with Janina Minga. Once again put Werder Bremen in front, and then just a few minutes later, Alexandra Popp had a speculative effort from range that hit the bar, bounced on the line, but in the eyes of the lineswoman and the referee, it had crossed the line. The goal was given. And unlike the goal that Hamburg scored to make it 3-3 on matchday 1 of this season, there was conclusive evidence that Popp shot did not cross the line, and that it should have been a 3-2 win for Werder Bremen, and not a 3-3 draw on that occasion. But it's fair to say that this game has shaped up very differently. Werder Bremen have not given the best account of themselves. Wolfsburg have been dominant, and they have reaped the rewards here tonight. 8 shots for Werder Bremen, only 3 of those mustered up in the second half. Meanwhile, 22 for Wolfsburg, and the only disappointing element of it is that only 5 of those have found the target. Mariella El Sharif, in their eyes, will have not been tested enough here tonight. But tonight, the performance is secondary to the result. Pop for Bussy. Offside. Mistimed the run. Good play by Chiara D'Angelo. And I tell you what, that was a really nice idea to try and play the ball in behind for Maya Sternad. The offside flag is up anyway. Sternad was really caught on her heels there. A little bit overrun in midfield there by the She-Wolves. Bremen try and turn it back towards goal, and this is lovely passing play. Mühlhaus now looking for Sternad. Sternad, oh, that looked like a penalty. It is indeed. And with 10 minutes remaining here at the AOK Stadion, the first misstep from Janu Levels of the entire evening might just have given Werder Bremen a lifeline. The pace of Sternad caused problems. Levels went lunging in, didn't get there. She's been magnificent all evening, but just made the wrong decision at the wrong time there. And it's a clear penalty to Werder Bremen. Matchday 4. This is Werder Bremen's third penalty of the season. Larissa Mühlhaus. She scored on the opening weekend against Freiburg. She scored the opener from the spot against Hoffenheim on the weekend. And now, to make life a little bit more interesting in the outer stat, it's Mühlhaus against Johannes. Mühlhaus makes no mistake, and Werder Bremen have a lifeline in this game. Wolfsburg still go in search of their first clean sheet of the season. Mühlhaus moves on to 3 goals for the campaign. Cool as you like from the spot. And might this be a moment where Wolfsburg's vulnerabilities at the start of the season now come to the fore at night when they looked comfortable? Because I tell you what, the nerves will creep in now. And Werder Bremen will be well aware they've got nothing to lose. They are the underdogs. They're not expected to take points in Wolfsburg against Wolfsburg, especially having been 2-0 down. But again, the mentality that saw them get the 2-1 win against Hoffenheim last time out with a late goal. Could that now produce a comeback late on here? Wolfsburg will now have their shackles up. They've been warned. Federmeyer. Now you can see the press from Werder Bremen's players not quite as sharp as it was earlier. There are tired legs, but now they know they've got a chance in this game. They came here last season and got an historic 3-3 draw. This would be even more impressive given the circumstances. And again, Wolfsburg only dropped points once on home soil last season. A look at the upcoming fixtures for Wolfsburg. Of course, next up is the DFB Pokal tie against ATS Buntentor. But then a real tough run of fixtures. Matchday 6-8, Bayern, Leverkusen and Hoffenheim. That could be a defining spell for Stefan Lech's side. That game against Bayern always defining in terms of who will be the title favourites. For Werder Bremen, it doesn't get any easier for them as well. Bayern next in Munich, then the Nord Derby against Hamburg, against their northern rivals, the Derby. on home soil, and then Eintracht Frankfurt away from home as well. I mean, those are highlight matches for Werder Bremen, but they probably would have preferred them not to have been back-to-back specialists, and they would have wanted 3 of them not to be on foreign soil. Svenja Hoot weaving her way to goal. Svenja Hoot still going. It's magnificent from Svenja Hoot. She takes on the whole Werder Bremen backline on her own to give Wolfsburg daylight when Bremen had threatened to battle back. A captain's goal from Svenja Hoot. The Frauen-Bundesliga's record appearance maker. A goal. Her first of the season. Her 27th all-time for Wolfsburg. Her 63rd all-time in Germany's top flight. A captain fantastic moment from Svenja Hoot. And while a little bit of jeopardy was injected back into the game with Mulhouse's penalty, I think it's now been taken out of it again by that solo spectacular effort from Svenja Hoot. Oh, Bussy there, trying to better it. It comes through to Levels, who gets up and under the ball. Right, smile on the face of the Frenchwoman, went for the spectacular. KJ Ronan. Final change of the game as Michelle Weiss comes off for Werder Bremen. Didn't have a good night tonight, Michelle Weiss. I don't want to be overly critical of her, but she did not have the beating of Cora Takai in the one-on-one battle while Takai was on the pitch, and just had a few too hairy moments at the back that bred a little bit of uncertainty in the Bremen backline. Svenja Hoot only scored 1 goal all of last season. That was against Freiburg the season before that. 1 goal all season against Köln. Maybe she can strike twice this season. Oh, poor Janu Levels. Well, when you look up getting caught in 2 minds in the dictionary, you'll get a picture of that moment for the Dutch woman. Thought about the shot, then thought about the fake shot, then got caught in 2 minds and did neither of both. But again, with the exception of the penalty she conceded, she's been exceptional tonight, Janu Levels. Svenja Hoot's been looking good too. 1 in the middle, aim for, and she was so close to picking out Alex Pop, who has had her chances tonight. No goal to show for it though. Those two are the veterans in the Wolfsburg ranks. Pop in her 18th Frauen-Bundesliga season. It's not great from Levels. Svenja Hoot attacks. Mentioned the fact that Pop's in her 18th season, so too is Svenja Hoot. Those two are the top 2 in terms of record appearances in the Frauen-Bundesliga, and there's the goal as they could know! And is the 2 veterans combined. Svenja Hoot, Alex Pop. The post tried to keep Pop out, but she was there to pounce with the poacher's effort. Wolfsburg clear and dry now, as they're going to join Bayern at the top of the table on in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Brilliant header from Pop in the first instance, and then had the presence of mind to stay alert for the second chance opportunity. For Alex Pop, her second of the season after scoring against Hamburg, but today she scores in victory. 4-1 up Wolfsburg now with seconds left, and Pop and Labels and Sven Yehut all make way. Arguably the three best players on the pitch tonight for Wolfsburg. They come off to a rousing reception. And in the absence of last season's top goal scorer, Linnet Berenstein, Wolfsburg score 4. And that will certainly please Stefan Lech, because I think it's without question this performance tonight against Werder Bremen has been Wolfsburg's best and most complete performance of the season so far. Werder Bremen have had their moments. There will still be positives for them to point to. But in the end, Wolfsburg have shown their class, and they are putting Werder Bremen to the sword now, as Sternad does well to take the ball off Bussy, who then battles back well to win it back. Bussy flicking it through to Valotto. 4 minutes of time added on here at the AOK Stadion, where they have certainly got their money's worth in the home fans. Stefan Lech's first stint in charge of Wolfsburg produced 3 Frauen-Bundesliga titles and 4 DFB Pokal der Frauen wins in 5 years. Very different landscape now. Wolfsburg aren't the #1 team in the land. There's not as much stability and security in their squad after another summer upheaval. 15 players leaving the club, 12 new faces joining. They are still finding their feet as a squad. They're also finding their feet under their new head coach. But unlike the games against Jena and Köln, they haven't had to rely on late goals to bail them out. And tonight, they have answered more questions. Chiara D'Angelo, late chance, and well, I'll tell you what, there was a real lack of confidence there from the young Austrian. Almost seemed to pull out of the shot. Didn't put a foot through it. As a result, Stine Johannes with a relatively routine save. But again, she's still waiting for that first clean sheet as a Wolfsburg goalkeeper. Wolfsburg want the foul, they're not going to get it. There was a quote from Fritzi Kronk before this game talking about the fact that Bremen needed Wolfsburg to avoid having a perfect day to stand a chance of taking a share of the spoils. I think it's fair to say Wolfsburg haven't been perfect. But then Werder Bremen haven't either. Oh, that's lovely from Mühlhaus, though. Imokapai, she might get another late goal, but sends it into the side netting. Tonight it wouldn't have been a winner, it would have just been a consolation effort. But that pass from Larissa Mühlhaus deserved to finish at the end. What a peachy one it was. Oh, it's almost a shame we don't really get to enjoy the pass in its entirety there, but Imoka Papai really picked the wrong corner there and trying to beat Johannes at a near post when the far corner was gaping. D'Angelo's won it back, now Mühlhaus. Again, she looks for that ball in behind. Again, she picks up Papai. This time, Papai twisting, turning! Oh, that's a lovely finish. It's an act of defiance, but it's a delightful one from Werder Bremen. And after spurning a chance into the side netting seconds ago, Imirka Papai makes it 2 goals in 2 games. But again, it's all about the pass from Larissa Mühlhaus that completely cut the Wolfsburg backline to shreds. Still credit to Papai for the finish as well. In terms of execution, that might be the pick of the goals tonight. Though Svenja Hoot's solo effort will have something to say about that. What Bremen prove is that Wolfsburg are still very vulnerable at the back this season. I'm not sure Wolfsburg can go through the whole campaign assuming that they can always outscore their opponents. In a battle of Northern Giants, Wolfsburg retain their unbeaten start to the season as they hand Werder Bremen a first defeat in the new campaign to move level on points with Bayern at the Frauen-Bundesliga summit. 6 goals shared, 4-2 in favour of the She-Wolves. It wasn't a perfect performance, but it was their best of the season so far. In their toughest game of the campaign, Wolfsburg, 4-2 winners at the AOK Stadion. It was a battle of 4th against 3rd. But much like in the battle between 2nd and 1st last night between Bayern and Freiburg, it was the favourites that put the underdogs in their place. Werder Bremen, first time ever in the Frauen-Bundesliga, going the first 3 match days unbeaten. A record-breaking start under new head coach Fritzi Klomp, but now a first defeat in their hardest game of the season so far against a team having a tough time of it, but ultimately still boasting much more quality in their ranks than the visitors. Larissa Mühlhaus got a goal and an assist. She was brilliant all evening. Unfortunately for her, the rest of her Werder Bremen teammates didn't quite match her level of output. And while they can be pleased with the 2 goals scored, the mentality shown in never raising the white flag, things won't get any easier for Werder Bremen as they take a trip to Munich on match day 5 in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Svenja Hoot, a sensational solo effort to save her. A rare goal for her that really set Wolfsburg on course for victory, because after Mühlhaus's penalty pulled the game back to 2-1, Hoot's goal to make it 3-1 put Wolfsburg clear and dry. And they do move on to 10 points. 3 wins, 1 draw at the start of the season. They're level with Bayern at the top of the standings. The longer they can keep pace, the better. They meet on match day 6 in a couple of weeks' time here at the AOK Stadion. And if they can go into that game level on points, then it could be a real title decider. Fritzi Klomp will point to the positives. Nothing to be ashamed of in this result for Werder Bremen, but Wolfsburg were a little bit better tonight, and it shows on the scoreline. 2 more games to go in the Englische Woche tomorrow. Leipzig against Hamburg, Leverkusen against Frankfurt. Tonight the triple header really did throw up some thrills and spills, especially here at the AOK Stadion. James Surrogate, your match commentator. Thanks for joining. The final score, Wolfsburg 4, Werder Bremen 2.